Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman, founder of Contractor Staffing Source. We help contractors build great teams. I have Oscar Garcia here today with a company called Need2Say. Okay, Oscar, what does Need2Say do?
Paul, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. Well, need to say it's a multilingual safety, communication, and compliance app that helps small, medium, and large general contractors reduce accidents, improve productivity, and at the end of the day, increase your profits.
Okay, and hopefully keep your workman's comp down, right?
Yes.
So give me an example. I own I don't know, a remodeling company. I have like five employees, um, and most of them speak English most of the time. Some of them may not be the first language. Might have some communication issues, and getting to wear hard hats is almost impossible sometimes. And I'm trying to, have safety belts on the roof, but they don't wear them. So how can your app help me comply to those issues?
Well, one of the features that we have in the app is the inspections. So basically, before they start doing a job, whatever it is, it requires them to go through an inspection form where they will have to check out that, if whatever it is that they're going to do, it asks them to make sure that they're wearing the proper PPE. If they don't, once they select
Explain
that.
to the kind, what does PPE stand for?
It's a personal protective equipment. So, for instance, if it's a certain respirator that they need to use for that particular job, and so they have to, make sure that, yep, I'm wearing this. I have the
But would
safety.
steel-toed shoes be called the same kind of thing? If they wear steel-toed shoes or they have to wear a hard hat, that's all the same kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And so what you as a small company owner, you want to make sure that they're wearing that the proper PPE. And also, once they do this in the app, they're gonna have to sign it. So you're making them more accountable for their protection, for them to be more protected, but also for you later, you don't want to have issues with workers' comps or things like that because someone get hurt or someone did something wrong because they were not doing things correctly. And everything starts with some of the basic things that have to do with PPE.
So do they have to take a picture of their shoes saying they're wearing steel-toed shoes as opposed to thongs or like sandals?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Um, and also I said the right protection, whether it's the, gloves or shirts or whatever they need to do. I would say that especially these days, workman's comp claims are terrible. I mean, one can
Yep.
cost you 100 grand on a good day, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And also, one of the things that we also do, if small general contractors, lots of times they don't have a safety manual, right? So one of the
Right.
things that we have in the app is that we have fed the app. We have a tool that we call Toolbox. So if they have questions related to safety, if they have questions related to a power tool, something that they're using, we have fed the system with all of the OSHA or call OSHA, depending where they are in the country, that where when they ask the question, the answers will come directly from OSHA.
Okay. Now, what about, don't you have to post something like on the job site that blah, blah, blah? They still have to do that. You have to have a poster on the job site. They still do that?
Absolutely. Lots of companies they still do that, but the main thing here is that, for instance, a lot of the companies we work with, they have a safety manual or they have certain rules or regulations that workers need to follow. And the thing is that, they can get access to all of that through the app and
Right.
just easily, just
Now,
be compliant and understand. Yes.
So most of the time, the safety manual's in some drawer in the office that people haven't looked at in 5 years, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And some companies even they want us they have added the employee handbook, things like that where they can just, kind of go up there and ask a question that will again, this is not ChatGPT. This is something that we have a patent on it that you will ask the question and the answers will come directly from whatever information you want your workers to get access to.
Now, does it in Spanish and English, I'm assuming, or other
It
language?
does exactly more than 25 languages. We have the top, foreign languages of California, for instance. We took California as an example.
Right. Okay, so it could be Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, whatever. Okay,
One of the new ones that we added, for instance, we added Haitian Creole
I see.
because there's a lot of people from Haiti, and so working in the construction industry for small companies, and so that was one of the languages that we added.
Okay, so now they have this on their phone, right?
Yep.
Is it's an app?
It is an app. It is an app that has. I mean, it's on iOS and Android. It's available for both. It comes also with a chat where if you need it, it has a bilingual chat where you can send an audio and it'll translate the audio.
It'll talk, but it talks as well as rates. I'm assuming it'll talk to you.
Exactly, exactly. And but it also has a component that we call alerts where
Okay.
you can, if you have, 10, 20 workers and you don't necessarily, need to communicate with each one of them or through the chat, just want to send them something like, hey, today it's going to be super hot. Just make sure you drink lots of water,
Enough
whatever.
water. Okay.
You can just send them an alert.
Or if they're on the roof, you can say, make sure your safety lines are hooked up or whatever, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it gets to all of the workers. They get a notification, they understand what's happening, and you have everybody, communicated
Do they
regardless.
have to acknowledge that, yes, I got that? And let's do the water one. Okay.
Yep.
It's 110 degrees and you're putting roofs in Phoenix or something, right?
Yep.
And everybody's getting dehydrated. So you can say, make sure you carry water, take a 10-minute break every hour, drink some water because you're going to get dehydrated, blah, blah, blah. And do they check, yes, I read this, or so we know that they know?
Absolutely. This is one of the big parts that we have in the app for, again, you want to, create a culture of workers that, they're being, not just like, it's something simple that, okay, I've seen this and whatever, I'm not going to pay attention to it. You want to make them accountable. So there's something in the app where they have to acknowledge that they've seen the message.
Now, do you also help them? Like, I think OSHA requires safety meetings every, whatever they've got these requirements, right? Do you help with the meetings and that kind of thing?
Absolutely, we do. So we have a feature in the app where a lot of the safety managers they like this feature. And basically, what it does is that you can pre-record a safety briefing or whatever you want to share with your workers, and you can share that through a QR code. You can just print the QR code, put it in a certain place, and workers before they start working on that particular job site, they scan it. They don't have to have the app. They can just scan it, listen to whatever message, whatever information you share with them. And they will also get access to Toolbox and some other features. But the most important thing is that um, you will be able to see the data. That you'll be able to see who has seen it, who hasn't seen it, if the worker had a question, what kind of question it was. So
Right.
later, what you want to do with all of that data, you want to be able to come up with just a better training for those workers that have certain questions that before there was not really a way for you to understand and know what their questions were.
So, for example, you're working on a site that has a bunch of ditches in it, how you cover the ditches and make sure they're safe to walk on and whatever. So it can be job specific, right?
Exactly. It can be job specific. And again, the general contractors, they will do all kinds of different things, right? So at the
Right.
end of the day, communication, that's important part. And also something very important for the audience, right? Whether if you have 5 workers or 20, 25, 30 workers,
Right.
50, doesn't matter. All of the conversations you have with your workers, either if it is one-on-one or if it is through the chat or if it is the alerts and all these things, the app, it's basically, saving all of that data because at the end of the month, it's going to give you that information of, hey, your workers are asking a lot of questions about fall protection, or they're asking a lot of questions about how to handle, this materials or
Well,
this and that.
I think compliance is really important because and what happens is when somebody falls off a ladder or gets hurt and their nephew's an attorney, just it's like they say, okay, you never gave me fair warning. You never, and unfortunately, contractors really are not good at documenting things, right?
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
that worker says, you never told me that I shouldn't stand on the top of a ladder without, this kind of safety belt. And you go, yes, I did. And they go, no, you didn't. And if you haven't got any evidence, the attorney's going to say, you didn't tell him, he fell off the ladder, it's your fault. You owe, $50,000 in injuries because you were a bad guy.
Absolutely. That's a great point that you bring up here because one of the big things that we do in the app, for instance, if you're using the chat, if you could as the owner of the company, you can say, yes, I did. I told you this. And you want to go back to the history of messages, whether if it was on WhatsApp or Messenger or
Right.
whatever it was, you're not gonna find it. I mean, it's
No,
gone.
you're not.
And so you want to use something that it will keep the history of all of those conversations or all of those records so that later if you have an issue like this, you can go back and say, here here's
But
here's when I
yeah, because
shared
the
that.
problem is you may have 1,000 conversations and only one counts, right? Because
Absolutely.
it's the one where the guy fell off the ladder because he didn't have the safety hook, and you told him 3 times to do it, and he goes, no, he didn't. And you end up in, workman's comp claim in court saying, well, he never told me that I have to wear that, so it's his fault. And I'm
Absolutely.
gonna.
Absolutely. And Paul, you mentioned something very important. You said, you have to have these safety briefings, right? The majority
Right,
of the companies, they have the safety briefings every day. And so you want to have a proof of that, not just because if later that day, if there was an accident, you want to have a proof that, yeah, we went through this,
right.
safety briefing. We talked to them about how to use this, how to use that, how to do
Well, to
that.
me, Austin, it's really good insurance because the reason most contractors lose is they're not good at compliance, right?
Absolutely.
So the attorney
Absolutely.
comes in and goes, show me, document the safety meetings, document this, document that. And then they sort of hold them a ransom and say, okay, we'll settle for 20 grand. Just give it to me and I won't cause a problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When they could have saved all of that money and time and headache,
Right.
with something that a tool that can help them, with all of those things. So that's the reason why we exist,
Well, to
basically.
me, it makes a lot of sense. And the question is, how much does it cost? How do you make sure people use it? And how do they, actually get this thing to work for their company?
Absolutely. The cost, we have three different tiers. For instance, the basic is $4, $4 per worker per month. That is
Right?
nothing for
Free, right?
all of the the features and the tools you're gonna get to, again, not only be compliant and get your workers up and running and not have
Right,
to pay for redo things, things like that. So
right.
we have different tiers, we have different things. Also, it's super easy for workers to get access to the app. They don't have to use their emails. They don't have to remember a password. They don't have to do any of that. We also have companies, Paul, that they have other workers like subcontractors coming into the
Right,
job site, back,
right,
come and go all the time.
right.
They don't have to have the app to get access to your content, whatever you want to share with them. They can just scan the QR code, get access to that, be compliant. You get a recording of all of those things, regardless if they have or don't have the app. So we made it in a way that it's easy for workers, it's easy for the employers, and at the end of the day, it's a win-win for both of them.
It sounds good. Can you just before we end, then how to get a hold of you? Can you give one example of somebody that got hurt? They were going to file workman's comp claim, and your app helped them win.
Absolutely. There was this company in LA, and there was it was a small company, and they were getting sued by one of the workers, and because they were using the app, they went back to the history of messages and safety briefings, and they were able to find when they had the safety briefing on a certain, it was they were work it was they were doing some work on a trench, and so
Right,
they required the workers certain PPE. And so the
right,
worker said that he did not have access to that certain PPE, that nobody told him. And when they went back to that, they found the message. They found that the worker acknowledged that he was gonna wear it, that he was gonna use that, and so that helped the company not only win the case, but also it kind of set an example with other employers, with other of their employees, to be like,
right.
we're serious here.
We're serious here. When we say wear something, and don't expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Oscar, this sounds great. How do people get a hold of you, and how do they get started with this?
If they, they can just look for us on the internet. We're a need, like I need you, the verb I need as a need number two, say.com. And you guys can, again, they can just schedule a demo. We give them a demo, we show them how it works. If they want to do a free trial to see how the app works and see how it's going to benefit their company, they can, do that and they'll see the benefit. We're
Right now, I
sure.
mean, I've been in this business for 50 years, and to me, it's a no-brainer because one of the big issues I have as a coach in my many years of doing this is getting contractors to comply. And they go, well, I didn't really give the safety meetings, I didn't do that. And then unfortunately, they find out after they get sued, oh, I guess I should have done that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we are in a litigation kind of world, especially in construction. So to me, if you don't have this, you should. So thanks, Oscar. I really appreciate you being here. Great
Thank
idea.
you, Paul. Thank you for the invitation. Really appreciate it.